Hello, Brian with SoUtah.com. I'm going to move through this rather quickly in the interest of your time. I appreciate having you here on my site. We're talking about representation in this video. Would you like to call the sign in the yard and work with the agent that's representing the seller? Or if you knew it was free and built in, would you choose to have your own agent representing you? And I'll be talking about how it's going to be a no-brainer and how things work. To start off with, the single greatest incident mistake I see is people calling the sign in the yard. That listing realtor, of course, that represents the seller, that's bound by covenant to bring them highest and best price, is going to answer the phone. So now you're working with somebody that is working for the seller, not you. Of course, they're going to be happy to answer questions. The thing you don't want, perhaps, is to get roped into having that agent show you the home. It's an entanglement that then leads to you possibly having the deal written up through them, and you haven't secured some rights or some things that may make it not the best decision for you. And as a result, there's some things here involved that I'd like to share with you. That agent, if they work to write up the offer, they become what we call the limited agent, where they're supposed to become more neutral now in just conveying communication between buyer and seller. If they do that and act in that fashion with you in writing up the offer and becoming your agent on the paperwork, they get a 6% commission. So if it's a $300,000 house, they get $18,000. Now, why so much is what we would probably say. It's because the arrangement has within it typically the buyers wanting to be represented, by somebody else other than the listing agent. Experience has shown that, and of course a lot of buyers get the sense that this doesn't feel right. It's the agent representing the other guy. And it is kind of an adversarial process. If you think about it, there might be a house down the street that just sold for less price, or the foreclosures are selling all around it for less price, but of course you haven't tapped into those because they just sold. So they're not active, they're not showing. You didn't see it happen, but there's a precedent set in that neighborhood for getting a better price. Now, what do you think the agent's going to do? They're probably not going to tell you about those, and they're probably going to try to get their seller roped in on what their current pricing strategy is. So, buyers want to be represented, and in those cases, there is already built in the 6% entrance, 3% to go to each agent. You're just using the wrong mechanism there. That's pure and innocent when you call that sign in the yard, and then get roped into having the home shown for you by that agent. The multiple listing service then allows for representation across the board, called broker reciprocity. Your realtor or a realtor can host all the listings from all the different real estate companies on their website and kind of have their branding on it. They're not actually the listing agent now, but they're going to tap into all the information you need just as easy. And when you sign paperwork with any agent that's representing you, there'll be a whole paragraph devoted to telling you and alerting you. You do not have to be doing this, signing this through the listing agent. And here's a video that represents how excited sometimes the listing agent or the selling agent will be in finding out that, hey, maybe I can double end this.
It's you.
Yes, man cub. So nice to see you again.
Oh, go away. Leave me alone.
Let me look at you. You don't want me to look at you? Then you look at me.
No, sir. I know what you're trying to do, cop.
You do?
Okay, you don't have to accept a limited agency situation. There's already representation built in it for you, and so now that you know that, you can, if you do call in listings prices, you can call through your own agent. You can call me up, Brian. I would just love to help you. Here I am. It just feels better. Why? Because we're using the built-in realtor that's provided for you free, and of course I would just love to help you on anything. Been doing it for a long time. I do it full time. That's all I do. Mostly represent buyers and help them get down the road with what they need on their representation. this is where it shows that when the listing agent's going out to list a home and they're getting this initial commission built into the whole thing, the seller's going to pay it at the end of closing, 6%, no matter what. And then out of that, there's going to be 3% that's in there. That's why it's 6%, so that you can have your own agent that's representing you. And this is shown on the realtor's copy every time on every listing that you're going to be looking at as well. Now, your copy won't show this bottom piece of information here, but it'll show all the rest of the same listing information. And it's always going to be 3% that your agent is getting. Occasionally, it's not 3%, it's 2.5. Sometimes those are new construction situations. So, sure, you can call the sign in the yard, but just be careful. Here's what you're going to kind of come up against with the selling agent possibly being surprised and glad that you're talking to them.
Slip into silent slumber, sail on a silver mist. Slowly and surely your senses will cease to resist. You're snoring.
Sorry.
Trust in me, and just in me.
Okay, this is what you do when you call on the sign. The single greatest entanglement when you have the listing agent or their rep show you the home. If you must call that sign, just tell him or her that you have your own agent, but just have some questions on the home. Call Brian for questions on listings if you want, anytime or night or day. Okay, so that's how you can get around this being drawn in. One way to look at a buyer's agent often is your conscience saying, I was put into the equation at huge expense and you never used me. You wrote up the offer through the same agent that represents the seller. And we sure wouldn't want to have bought a home thinking we got a great deal only to find out later that it wasn't such a great deal after all. Okay, what your agent does that the seller's agent is not inclined to do for you. Share with you reasons why not to buy this property. Show you any and all homes that would compete with it. Include contingencies in the contract that protect you. Keep the optimal price you'd consider, your bottom line, confidential. You're in the negotiations, and boy, if it's the same agent representing the seller, they're going to read it from your body language, what you're going to be willing to do on this. How excited you are. They're going to go to the seller, no, I think they'll willing to go full price. I think you can get it out of them. You really you could have got less maybe through your own agent. You could have got it for less. And come to find out, now you got it at market value instead of paying for over market value. Or you got it under market value. Next, assess the value of the home by drawing on the entire market to include comparable recent sold homes in the same neighborhood. So the listing agent's not inclined to tell you of other listings that just sold that would lead you to believe that the price is too high. Next, help you find a home in the best location. An identical home can differ in price by as much as $50,000 to $80,000 based on just its location. Okay, a home that's nestled over near Entrada, or you've got views of the Red Cliffs, that's going to be possibly $50,000 more. Anyways, I can help you assess the value much like an appraiser prior to putting an offer, which really arms you with the things that you need in your negotiation process. Would you like to work with the seller's agent or have your own agent that represents your interests for free? And a little testimony to close. I appreciate having you here on my site. This is Joy with San Jose, California. She says, after viewing Brian's very informative website, I decided to call him and ask some questions. He was extremely helpful. More importantly, he was easy to talk to and so warm and friendly. He made me feel that the St. George would be a great place to live.